Let me say something I think a lot of you will understand right away. When you live alone, cooking for just yourself is often the very first thing to fall by the wayside. It's so easy to think, why go to all that trouble for one person? So you have a piece of toast or a few crackers or whatever's quick, and you tell yourself it's fine. I understand that completely, and I want you to know there's no judgment here at all. But here's the gentle truth. The times we're most likely to skip a proper meal are often the times our bodies need good nourishment the most. And one thing in particular tends to go missing: protein. The very thing that keeps your muscles strong, keeps you steady on your feet, and keeps you independent. So today I want to make this genuinely easy for you. I'll share simple high-protein meals for one. Meals that take little effort, little cleanup, and no special skill. And the fourth one I'll share is the easiest of them all, yet one of the very best for keeping your muscles strong. We'll get there together. Before we begin, one quick and important note, and I'll come back to it at the end. I'm not a doctor, and nothing here is medical advice, just general, friendly guidance for most healthy older adults. Your body and health are your own, so please treat this as a starting point for a conversation with your doctor. Now, I want to be honest about something because I think it matters. Cooking for one isn't only hard in a practical way, it can be hard in the heart too. When you've spent a lifetime cooking for a family or sharing meals with someone, sitting down to eat alone can feel different, even lonely. The motivation to bother just isn't always there. So today isn't only about easy recipes. It's also about making mealtime feel good again, something to look after yourself with. So we'll look at why cooking for one is so hard, then walk through no-cook meals, 10-minute meals, a wonderful cook once, eat several times trick, easy breakfasts and snacks, and finally how to make mealtime something to enjoy. If that sounds good, take a moment to subscribe. We share calm, trustworthy advice for older adults every week, and I'd love to have you with us. All right, let's begin. First, let's be honest about why cooking for one is so hard and why protein matters most of all. If you found yourself eating less or eating simpler than you used to, please know you are far from alone in that. It's one of the most common things that happens when we live by ourselves, and there are real reasons for it. For one, the motivation simply fades. Cooking a full meal, with all the preparation and the washing up afterward, can feel like an awful lot of effort for a single person. It's easy to feel it isn't worth it just for you. There's the tiredness too. Some days you just don't have the energy to stand and cook. And there's the quiet truth that eating alone isn't always a pleasure the way a shared meal was. So the whole event loses some of its appeal. So we reach for whatever's easy, and easy is too often toast, crackers, a biscuit, a bit of cereal, foods that fill the gap but don't truly nourish. And here's the thing that tends to go missing most: protein. It's the one nutrient hardest to get from those quick, easy bites, and yet it's one of the most important of all, especially as we age. Protein is the material your body uses to maintain its muscle. And holding on to muscle is the key to staying strong, steady, and able to care for yourself. When protein quietly drops out of your meals, your muscles slowly weaken, and with them, your independence. That's why, of everything, it's the one I most want to help you bring back. Let me tell you about Raymond. He's 75, and after his wife passed, he found himself with no heart for cooking. They'd shared every meal for over 40 years, and now the kitchen felt empty. So he got by on tea and toast, a bit of cheese, whatever needed no effort. Months went by and he noticed he was getting weaker, more tired, less steady. He hadn't been eating badly on purpose. He simply hadn't been eating enough of the right things, protein most of all. The good news in Raymond's story, as you'll hear, is that it took only a few small, easy changes to turn it around. So let's start with the very easiest, high-protein meals that need no cooking at all. On the days when you simply don't have the energy or the will to cook, and we all have those days, these are your best friends. No stove, no fuss, no cleanup, just good protein ready in moments. The first is Greek yogurt. A bowl of plain Greek yogurt is one of the richest, easiest sources of protein there is, and it's soft and gentle to eat. Stir in some berries, banana, a drizzle of honey, or a sprinkle of nuts, and you have a genuinely nourishing meal in under a minute, with nothing to wash but a spoon and a bowl. The second is canned fish, tuna, salmon, or sardines. Keep a few cans in the cupboard and you always have high-quality protein on hand, along with those wonderful heart-healthy fats. Pile some onto whole grain bread or crackers, or mix it with a little mayonnaise, and that's a real meal with no cooking whatsoever. The soft canned fish is easy to chew too. The third group is cheese and eggs you've cooked ahead. A few slices of cheese with whole grain crackers and some fruit is a perfectly good light meal full of protein and calcium. And if you boil a few eggs at the start of the week and keep them in the fridge, you've got grab-and-go protein ready anytime. A hard-boiled egg is one of the most convenient, nourishing snacks there is. Even a spoonful of peanut butter on whole grain toast brings a nice bit of protein with almost no effort at all. Let me tell you about Gladys. She's 78, and on her low-energy days she used to skip meals entirely, simply because cooking felt like too much. Then she stocked her kitchen with a few easy things: Greek yogurt, cans of tuna, some cheese, a carton of eggs to boil ahead. Now, even on the days she can't face the stove, she still eats well. She told me it was a revelation. She'd thought eating properly meant cooking properly, and it turned out that simply wasn't true. Some of her most nourishing meals now take no cooking at all. Now let's add a few hot meals you can make in about 10 minutes. Sometimes you do want something warm and comforting, and the good news is that a hot, protein-rich meal doesn't have to mean a big production. With one pan and a few simple ingredients, you can have something lovely in about 10 minutes. Eggs are the hero here. Scrambled, fried, or made into a simple omelet, eggs are quick, soft, inexpensive, and packed with high-quality protein. A couple of eggs scrambled with whatever vegetables you have on hand, on a piece of whole grain toast, is a complete and nourishing meal in well under 10 minutes. Eggs really are a gift to anyone cooking for one. A piece of fish is nearly as quick. A fillet of fish needs only a few minutes in a pan with a little oil, and you've got a wonderful dose of protein and those healthy fats. Serve it with some quick-cooked or even microwaved vegetables, and dinner is done. And then there are the cupboard shortcuts that are almost too easy. A can of bean soup or lentil soup, gently heated, is hearty, full of protein and fiber, and ready in minutes, and you can stir in an egg or some extra beans to make it even richer. A block of tofu can be cut up and quickly pan-fried for a soft, protein-rich option. The point is this: hot and nourishing does not have to mean slow or difficult. 10 minutes in one pan is often all it takes. Let me tell you about Walter. He's 73, and he was convinced that cooking was beyond him. His wife had always done it, and he genuinely didn't know where to start. He felt a bit helpless about the whole thing. So he began with the simplest possible meal: scrambled eggs. Just eggs in a pan. Once he saw how easy and how good it was, his confidence grew. Soon he was adding a bit of fish, heating up soups, even making a small omelet with vegetables. He told me with some pride that he'd become a decent little cook in his 70s, something he never imagined. It all started with a couple of eggs. Now we come to the one I promised you at the very start. The easiest strategy of them all, and quite possibly the single best thing a person living alone can do to eat well, with almost no daily effort at all. The best strategy of all: cook once, eat several times. Here's the trick that solves the whole problem of cooking for one, and I wish more people knew it. Instead of facing the effort of cooking every single day, you cook just once and eat from it for days. It turns the very thing that makes cooking for one so hard, the effort and the bother, completely on its head. Here's how it works. Once a week, on a day when you have a little energy, you make one big batch of something nourishing and protein-rich. A big pot of hearty bean and vegetable soup, a chicken and vegetable stew, a pot of chili with beans, a casserole. Something that makes several servings at once. The effort to make a big pot is barely more than making a small one, but it rewards you many times over. Then you divide it into single-serving portions in containers. And here's the key: you freeze most of them. That way they don't spoil, and you build up a little collection of homemade, ready meals in your freezer. On any day you don't feel like cooking, which, let's be honest, might be most days, you simply take one out, warm it up, and you have a proper home-cooked, protein-rich meal with no effort at all. It's like having meals waiting for you, made by the kindest cook you know, yourself, on a good day. A few simple tips make this even better. Use containers that are easy to open and label each one with what's inside and the date. And don't worry one bit that freezing makes food less healthy. It doesn't. Frozen home-cooked meals keep their nourishment beautifully, and soups and stews often taste even better the second time around. Let me tell you about Eleanor. She's 80, and the daily question of, what do I cook tonight, just for me, had worn her down to the point where she'd mostly stopped bothering. Then her daughter showed her this approach. Now every Sunday, Eleanor makes one big pot of something, a soup, a stew, and freezes it in portions. All week long, she eats good, warm, home-cooked food without cooking again once. She told me it changed everything. She eats far better than she has in years, and the dread of the daily meal is simply gone. One afternoon of gentle effort, and she's looked after for the whole week. Now let's not forget breakfast and snacks. Easy protein for one, all day long. We often think hardest about dinner, but for someone living alone, breakfast and snacks are just as important, and they're some of the easiest places to add the protein your body needs. Remember, your body uses protein best when it's spread across the whole day, rather than crammed into one meal. So a little protein in the morning and a protein-rich snack here and there does a world of good. For breakfast, you have wonderful, easy options. Eggs, of course, in any form. A bowl of Greek yogurt with fruit and nuts. Oatmeal made with milk instead of water, which quietly adds protein, with a spoonful of peanut butter or some nuts stirred in. Even a simple bowl of cottage cheese with fruit. Each of these starts your day with the protein your muscles are waiting for, and not one of them is any trouble at all. And for snacks through the day, think protein rather than just carbohydrates. A hard-boiled egg, a handful of nuts, a piece of cheese, a small pot of yogurt, a few spoonfuls of hummus with some vegetable sticks or crackers. These little protein top-ups keep your strength up between meals, and they're especially valuable if your appetite is small and you can't manage large meals. Several small, protein-rich bites through the day can add up to everything you need. Let me tell you about Mildred. She's 76, and she'd always been a just toast and tea sort of person in the mornings, which left her tired and weak by midday. She made one small change. She switched to oatmeal made with milk, with a few nuts and some berries stirred in. That was all. But that little bit of morning protein meant she had the energy and steadiness to get through her day far better than before. Such a small change to one meal, and it carried her through everything that came after. And finally, something just as important as the food itself, making mealtime something to look forward to. I said at the start that cooking for one isn't only hard in a practical way, it can be hard in the heart. And I'd be leaving out the most important part if I didn't speak to that gently before we finish. Because eating well isn't only about what's on the plate. It's about whether mealtime feels like something good in your day. When we eat alone, it's easy to let mealtimes become an afterthought, eaten standing at the counter, or hurried in front of the television, barely noticed. And when a meal doesn't feel like anything, it's much harder to find the motivation to make it a good one. So here are a few gentle ideas to make mealtime feel like a moment you give to yourself. Set a proper place for yourself, even though it's just you. A real plate, perhaps a nice one, at the table. It sounds small, but treating yourself as worth the effort changes how the whole meal feels. Because you are worth the effort. Eat somewhere pleasant, by a window with a view, with the radio on, or some music you love, so the meal has good company of a kind. And do make the most of chances to share a meal with others when they come. A lunch with a friend, a meal with family, a senior center where people eat together. Those shared meals nourish more than just the body, and they're worth reaching for whenever you can. Here's the heart of it. Taking the time to feed yourself well and to make the meal pleasant is not a small or silly thing. It's a daily act of caring for yourself, of saying in a quiet way that you still matter and your well-being is still worth tending to, because it is. Always. Let me tell you about Howard. He's 77, and after years of eating standing up at the kitchen counter, barely tasting his food, he decided to do one small thing differently. He started setting a proper place at the table each evening, sitting down by the window where he could watch the garden, with the radio playing softly. The food didn't change much, but the meal became something he looked forward to, a calm and pleasant part of his day rather than a chore to rush through. And eating became a pleasure again, which in turn made him want to eat well. Sometimes the smallest change in how we do a thing changes everything about how it feels. So let's bring it all together, because eating well when you live alone is absolutely within your reach. When you live by yourself, cooking can fade away, and protein, the nutrient that keeps you strong and independent, is the first to go missing. But it doesn't have to. On low-energy days, lean on no-cook meals, Greek yogurt, canned fish, cheese, boiled eggs. When you want something warm, a 10-minute meal of eggs, a quick piece of fish, or a heated bean soup is all it takes. The single best strategy is to cook once and eat several times. Make one big batch, freeze it in portions, and have home-cooked meals waiting all week. Don't forget protein at breakfast and in your snacks, spread through the day. And just as importantly, make mealtime something pleasant, a proper place setting, a nice spot, shared meals when you can. Because how a meal feels matters as much as what's on the plate. And here's the heart of all of it. Living alone does not mean eating poorly, and it does not mean going without good, nourishing food. With a few easy habits, you can eat just as well as anyone, and you deserve to. Feeding yourself well is one of the kindest, most important things you can do for yourself every single day. And now the important note I promised you. I'm not a doctor, and this is general information, not medical advice. Before making any major changes to your diet, please talk with your own doctor, especially if you have a health condition such as kidney problems, which can require limiting protein, or diabetes, or if you take any medications, since some foods can interact with them. Your nutritional needs are unique to you, and your doctor is the right person to guide them. Please think of this as a starting point for that conversation. Taking good care of yourself was never meant to be complicated, and it was never meant to be something you stop doing just because you're on your own. It can begin with something as simple as a bowl of yogurt, a couple of eggs, or a pot of soup made on a Sunday. Small, kind acts of looking after yourself day after day. I'd truly love to hear from you on this one. Tell me in the comments, what's your favorite easy meal when you're cooking just for yourself? Your idea might be exactly the inspiration another person watching needs tonight. If this was helpful, tap that subscribe button so the next video finds you. And speaking of the next one, you'll want to watch this video right here, where I share the best foods to help you sleep more deeply and wake up rested after 70. I'll see you over there. Until then, take good care of yourself.